Good people, by now you probably would have been caught up with NVIDIA's new RTX 40 series graphics cards. If you want to learn more about the specs, pricing, and stuff that you may have missed watching the keynote, I've done a separate video which you can check out right over here. This video was all about the custom board partner cards that will be launching alongside the Founders Edition from NVIDIA. Unfortunately, at the time I made this video, we only have a handful of image assets and some product teaser videos and some specs. Most of the manufacturers have listed the boost clocks as TBD, so keep that in mind. There is no word on pricing for these new custom cards, but if history has taught us a lesson, it's the fact that these things are going to be heavily marked up by retailers. That being said, there are some really interesting cards that caught my attention, and I thought I might as well just share it with you guys. So I want to kick things off with EVGA. Man. This is some of the saddest PC hardware news of all year. I really hope everyone at EVGA actually lands on their feet because the team over there, they're a bunch of great people, so go send them some love. With that out of the way, here's my favorite custom GPUs so far, the Zotac RTX 4090 Amp Extreme Airo. Yes, that's a mouthful, but I just love the curvy design of this external shroud along with the subtle RGB light strips that outlines the edges. It's beautifully done, and I really hope the diffusion looks just as good as the product renders. Even the Zotac logo on the backplate lights up, and I think from a design standpoint, they've kept it relatively simple with just the right amount of gaming aesthetics. Heck, even the backplate looks incredible. But keep in mind that this is a 3.5 slot card, meaning it's a chunky boy, so you'll certainly need to ensure that there's enough room inside your case to accommodate it both horizontally and vertically. This does feature a triple fan setup along with a much thicker heatsink, 9 composite heat pipes, and a vapor chamber base, so cooling this thing shouldn't be an issue. I also noticed that this card takes the 16-pin PCIe Gen 5 power connector, just like the Founders Edition, and according to Zotac, it does come with the adapter that splits into 4 8-pin connectors, so good luck with cable management. Now, if you're looking for a slightly toned-down version of the Airo, they also offered the Trinity OC, which has slightly lower boost clocks that matches the Founders Edition from NVIDIA.
The new Tower 500 by Thermaltake is probably the strangest looking mid-tower you might confuse with a 3D printer or a tiny vending machine, but have no fear. The triple glass sides reveal all the goodies inside, the front I/O is plenty full for all your needs, and so is the interior with support for 360 radiators, massive vertically mounted GPUs, and the bottom chamber for the cool fan eyes and the dynamic LCD panel on either side. The Tower 500, it's unconventional, but cool. Check it out below.
Next up, we have a few cards from ROG, and I'm gonna be honest with you guys. ASUS isn't even trying to make this stand out from the competition. It just looks generic. I mean, check this out. The STRIX lineup is a boxy design with a triple fan setup along with some RGB lighting around the shroud that flows through the tail light with an ARGB connector. This is a 3.5-inch slot design that consists of a vapor chamber that supposedly has 30% more surface area for better heat dissipation compared to last year's RTX 3090 STRIX GPU. The TUF series takes a more stealth approach with an all matte black shroud along with a 3D acrylic TUF logo that features RGB lighting. Interestingly, they have included a detachable Velcro loop to help with cable management since there's plenty of space for that. It features a triple fan setup and a much thicker heatsink than the STRIX, so that makes it slightly taller, coming in at 3.65 slots. On the positive side, it is shorter than the STRIX GPU. Moving on, we have a handful of cards from MSI. Now, this is part of their Apex Evolution series, and it consists of 4 different designs, starting with Suprim Liquid. Now, as the name suggests, this is a liquid-cooled GPU, and I honestly really like the minimalistic approach here with the design. The entire shroud is made out of aluminum, and it comes in this really cool gray finish with some aggressive edges and a single Torx fan that only spins when the core exceeds a certain temperature. I also like the subtle chevron RGB lighting next to the fan. I think it gives it a little bit more character. Now, MSI is using a microfin copper base that also covers the VRAM. The radiator fans have also been tuned for silence and improved cooling performance. It's a pretty compact GPU that only occupies 2 slots, but I think mounting that radiator is going to be quite the challenge, especially if you choose to go with an AIO setup for your CPU. So yeah, good luck with that. The air-cooled Suprim series, actually, I don't even know if it's Supreme. I mean, let me know in the comments down below if I'm saying it out right, but it follows the same design language with the brushed aluminum aesthetics and the 3 chevron RGB lights beside the fans. MSI is using a vapor chamber cooling solution for this design with a triple fan setup. It's also using a 16-pin power connector, and it comes with a bracket to support the weight of this massive 3.5-inch slot GPU. And fun fact, it also comes with a mouse pad as well. I mean, you are throwing this much money at MSI's 4090. So I guess it's a pretty cool add-on. Then we have the GamingX Trio. Now the main design highlight of this card is the triple RGB lines that go across the entire fan. This is a pretty cool showcase piece if you choose to mount it vertically. Now unlike the Suprim vapor chamber cooling system, this uses a copper base plate to cool the GPU. Now I'm not sure if that's going to be enough to cool the 4090, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see when the performance reviews are out. Also, be aware that this is a huge GPU. I mean, just looking at the side profile, it looks like it's going to need 4 slots, but luckily MSI does include an anti-sag bracket. To wrap it up from MSI, we have the Ventus series, which takes a more stealth approach. I have very limited information about this card, but from the looks of it, it doesn't seem to have any fancy RGB lighting. And what I really like about this card is the black and gray contrast from the fans to the shroud. Next up, we have Galax with their serious gaming series. That's right, these folks take gaming very seriously, and the design speaks for itself. I mean, they've gone to town with RGB lighting on this card, and personally, I'm not a huge fan of it, but hey, there is a market for these types of GPUs. The entire shroud is filled with RGB lines that continue on to the side profile, and from these images, I can already tell that it's a THICC monster. It is factory overclocked out of the box, but not by all that much, and they've implemented a vapor chamber cooling base with tons of heat pipes and a triple fan layout. What's really cool about this GPU is that you can clip an additional 102mm fan at the back to improve the cooling performance. Again, none of this is validated, but if you look at the previous generation SG series, those clip-on fans typically tend to reduce temperatures by a few degrees. Do you think it's useful? Let us know in the comments down below. Oh, and it also comes with a really cool ARGB support bracket and the necessary power adapters. I think this card is a great option for those who just embrace RGB lighting every single day. Next up, we have some love from Aorus. Meet the Master Series. Now, the first thing that stood out to me is not obviously the ginormous size, which I'll talk about later, but the halo fans. It's not too distracting, but I think it still offers a nice, elegant look. You'll also notice the RGB lines that shoot across the center fan, and those lines flow through the back plate, lighting up the second Aorus logo. I think it looks pretty cool. This is a mostly boxy shaped shroud that comes in a dual tone black and gray finish, and it delivers everything that you're looking forward to in a flagship GPU. So you get the vapor chamber cooling base with composite heat pipes, a customizable LCD monitor that displays all the stats, and it can be switched to any custom GIFs as well, kind of like what NZXT does with their Z series AIO coolers. As for the size, this thing is supposed to be ginormous. Actually, videocards.com did an interesting comparison between it and the 3090 Ti, and the difference is insane. I just feel like it's overly done. I don't even know if it needs to be this big to cool the Ada architecture. The Windforce series prioritizes performance and cooling. Now, this is the Gigabyte version, and it's a lot more toned down in terms of RGB bling and a bunch of other gamer aesthetics like the Aorus Master series. It still brings the halo ring lighting around the triple fan setup, which looks really cool. As for the size, this is yet again another thick and bulky card, but remember, it brings that vapor chamber cooling system from the Aorus design. I should also mention that they haven't announced any RTX 4080 series GPUs. For now, it's just the RTX 4090. Next up, we have some really cool stealth options from Colorful, starting with the Vulcan series. Now, I just love the matte black design of the shroud and the triple fan layout because I think it's implemented really, really well. It does feature a smart LCD display on the side that can be customized through the driver software. And from these images, it does look like a 3.5-inch slot GPU. I can't confirm, obviously, but I should mention that you get a ton of accessories with the GPU, like screen wipes, white gloves, and a screwdriver. I think that's pretty thoughtful. They're also coming with a liquid-cooled version called the Neptune series. Now, it's pretty similar to what MSI did with the Suprim Liquid GPU, but instead of a 240mm radiator, Colorful is including a 360mm radiator. Now, if you decide to get this, please, please, please make sure you have room inside your case to accommodate this massive radiator. Rest aside, this is a pretty slick looking card. It comes in this beautiful silver and white metal shroud with a matte finish and 2 curvy RGB strips at the front, which look really cool. I believe this one is factory overclocked, which should make sense considering it features a copper water block that covers the GPU, the memory, and other crucial components within the PCB. I think the overall aesthetics of this card should match any white themed gaming PC. Hopefully it fits my gaming PC. I mean, I don't know, should I give it a shot? Let me know in the comments. PNY is coming out with their usual Accelerate series. This one has massive RGB light strips that cross the center fan to create an X shape. Now, I don't have a lot of information regarding the cooling setup, but from the images, it looks like they haven't cut any corners. This is a 3.5-inch slot GPU, and it does run with the clock speeds that are pretty much similar to the Founders Edition. Last but not least, we have Gainward. Now, I don't have a ton of assets to work with here, but their Phantom series is the top-of-the-line spec that comes out with a black shroud with a tiny bit of RGB accents. The Phoenix series has RGB written all over it, and personally, I think it's just overly done, and yeah, I wouldn't just... It's not something that I would buy. So there you have it, guys. Custom RTX 40 series cards from board partners. Let me know which one's your favorite in the comments down below. And if you are thinking about upgrading or getting the new RTX 4090 or 4080 series GPU, which one of these would you actually pick? Again, pricing, I have no idea what that's gonna be. I'm sure it's all up to retailers, so we'll just have to wait and see when that comes out. But yeah, so far I feel like the Zotac card is my top pick. And then now followed by the MSI Liquid Suprim. That would be a really cool